If you're losing money sports betting, it's because you're making the same 3 critical mistakes that keep 95% of bettors broke. I know this because I used to be one of them, losing thousands before I discovered what was actually killing my bankroll. You've probably been told that sports betting is just gambling and the house always wins, but that's exactly what the sportsbooks want you to believe. Most bettors think that they need to hit that next big parlay to get even, but that's the fastest way to go completely broke. The sportsbooks design these traps specifically to keep you losing, and until you understand how to avoid them, you'll never escape the cycle. Today, I'm walking you through how to start reversing your sports betting losses. From the 3 mistakes that are destroying your bankroll to the systematic approach that turns losing bettors into profitable ones. Because every losing streak can be reversed if you know what you're doing wrong. Let me start by exposing the first critical mistake that is destroying your bankroll, because until you understand it, you can't fix it. And the first major mistake is not line shopping. Most bettors just open up one sportsbook app, like FanDuel or DraftKings. They see a play that they like, and then they place the wager. What you're missing is that different sportsbooks offer different odds, and those different odds offer different payouts, which is costing you thousands of dollars. Let me show you exactly what I mean with a real example. Here we're looking at the Eagles-Giants game on the money line. Who's going to win the football game? Let's say you think that the Giants, the underdog, have a good chance of winning this game. Well, over here, if you had a FanDuel, DraftKings, and ESPN bet account, as you can see on this play, there's 3 different odds from 3 different sports books. So a $100 wager placed over at DraftKings is going to pay you out $300 in profit. Well, that same $100 wager over at ESPN Bet is going to pay you out $340 in profit. And while plus 300 compared to plus 340 might not seem like a very big deal, the fact that this is an extra $40 in your pocket if and when the Giants win this football game is massive. Over a full season, when you're placing a bet over at Ballybet at plus 110 odds on the Lions money line compared to FanDuel at plus 118 odds, that $8 difference, that $40 difference, this adds up over the course of a season into hundreds, if not thousands of dollars that are lost profits because you're not line shopping. If you're placing a bet to win, why wouldn't you go to the sportsbook that's putting the most money in your pocket? It just makes sense. Now let me show you exactly how to implement systematic line shopping to immediately improve your bets. Line shopping isn't about finding the best odds. It's about increasing your expected value on every single wager you place. When you're consistently getting better prices, you're essentially giving yourself a raise on every bet. Before I place any bet, I check at least 4 to 5 different sports books to see the odds. So over here on OddsJam, I'm looking at this Air Force UNLV total points. How many combined points from both teams are going to be scored in this football game? Well, you can see that these sports books have a lot of different projections for where they think the pricing and the totals should be. So the main line is living right here at around 65.5 points. A lot of the books like FanDuel and DraftKings, Caesars, MGM, they're all roughly minus 110 on the over or the under. Well, I'd have to put up $110 on FanDuel to profit $100 if I wanted to bet the under 65.5. Put up $110 to make $100 in profit. But over at Hard Rock, I simply just have to put up $100 to make $100. So if this bet were to lose, well, then I save $10 placing this bet at Hard Rock to receive that same payout. Or if I wanted to take this a step further, I could bet the under 66.5. I get an extra point on this game, and I'm receiving the same price at minus 110 compared to all the other books. And an extra point in football can be a very big deal between winning and losing. So if the final score of this game is 35-31, which is a grand total of 66 points, and we place this bet over at Hard Rock at under 66.5 at minus 110, we get that extra point and same payout compared to the under 65.5 over at FanDuel, which would have lost. But I just don't look for the current best odds. I'm also tracking line movement. So in this same example, one of the sharpest sports books in the world, Pinnacle, as you can see with their line movement over the last 3 days, it's going in one specific direction. It started out at around plus 111 and it's moved all the way to minus 135, meaning that we'd have to put up $135 over at Pinnacle to profit $100. But over at Hard Rock, we're getting this at minus 110. So a lot of other sharp sports books are moving in a similar direction as Pinnacle is, except for a stale recreational sports book like Hard Rock. The simple, easy play, Bet this over at Hard Rock at the under 66.5. The second mistake is betting same game parlays. I know they're heavily promoted and the payouts look very attractive, but same game parlays are where the sportsbooks make their biggest profits because the pricing is absolutely terrible for bettors. Let me show you why SGPs are bankroll killers. Over here looking at that Eagles-Giants game over at Hard Rock, let's say we like Jackson Dart under 18.5 passing completions. And since he's not going to complete a lot of passes, one of his primary targets, Wan'Dale Robinson, let's take his under on his receptions under 5.5. And then we like Dallas Goedert to get an anytime touchdown. Well, we're receiving odds of plus 1,000, and this looks pretty decent. A $10 wager would give us a total payout of $110. But when we come over to OddsGym and input these three plays, we're being told that we should be getting odds of plus 1327, meaning that same $10 wager should pay us out almost $143 total. Well, that's over $30 in profit that's not going into our pocket, it's going back to Hard Rock's. The sports books use correlation against you in same game parlays. So in that example, while it seems like a smart, sharp play to take the quarterback and wide receivers under or overs, you're getting absolutely nuked on pricing because of it. Another reason that same game parlays are garbage is because the sports books are forcing you to only bet one side. So when you come over here to DraftKings and you click the same game parlay engine, what you're going to notice is if you click on passing props, well, the first option is Jalen Hurts, but we can only bet his overs. And Jackson Dart, we can only bet his overs. If we come over to receiving props, same thing. We're automatically, by design from the sports books, being shown a bunch of opportunities where we can bet the overs. You have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen until you can come to the over-unders. And certain sports books won't even give you the option to bet the unders. So because of terrible pricing, and the sports books are really pushing you in a certain direction, hey, just bet the overs. Well, guess what? The unders hit just as much as overs do. But they're all forcing you into, let's root for points, let's root for action. But there's a lot of times where there's low scoring games and the unders hit. But because of this menu and its limited options, same game parlays is another reason why you want to stay away from them in general. Hitting an SGP is hard enough. And then the fact that you're not actually getting paid out what you should makes this an absolute bankroll killer. So the other approach that you need to install is just sticking to straight wagers. I know this means smaller individual payouts, but what most people don't understand is that those small consistent wins compound into large profits over time. Chasing big SGP payouts is what's keeping you broke. Now, the third mistake, similar to mistake 2, is that you're only betting parlays. There's no straight wager betting at all inside your daily betting portfolio. I see bettors who refuse to place straight wagers because the payout's too small, bro. But that's exactly what's keeping them from churning out consistent profits. This is backwards thinking that guarantees long-term losses. Straight bets are the foundation of any profitable sports bettor. They have lower variance and it allows you to identify your handicapping skills based on sport, market, odds range. This is going to give you a more consistent pattern so that you know which plays and areas that you want to attack and which ones you want to avoid. When you're betting parlays, the amount of variance is extreme. And if you're putting together a 6 or 7 leg parlay and you hit on 4 picks and lose 3, it's really hard to tell the markets that you're not hitting on if these are consistent losers or was it just random variance. You have no idea what's going on. Most bettors aren't placing a 2-leg parlay. They're placing a 6 or 10 leg parlay. And the more legs that you add on, the math becomes brutal. Let me show you. Over here at DraftKings, I cooked up a 5-leg parlay and I made sure that every single leg was at least minus 150 odds or heavier. So we're taking some really big favorites here. Jets plus 10.5 and minus 175. As you can see, all 5 of these picks are in between minus 150 to minus 200, somewhere in this range. So if we go ahead, we're seeing that we're getting odds of plus 879. So a $100 wager is going to give us a grand total payout of $979 or $879 of profit. So over here at OddsJam, I pulled up a parlay calculator and typed in that I wanted to wager $100 and put in all the odds for this parlay. And as you can see, for these 5 legs, it's telling me that I should be receiving odds of plus 879. So while the pricing is correct, when I put in odds of plus 879 over to an odds converter calculator, you can see that my probability is 10.21%, meaning that I have a 10% chance of actually winning this parlay. 9 out of 10 times, this parlay is going to lose. And this is just on a 5-leg parlay. Most people out there are cooking up 6 to 10 leg parlays, and that means they have less than a 10% chance of actually cashing this bet. To make matters worse, most bettors have zero bankroll management. They're throwing random amounts of money down on these parlays based on what they feel. And that's a recipe for disaster. That's how you're consistently staying broke as a sports bettor. But now that you know the 3 biggest mistakes that most bettors are making, let me show you the systematic approach that churns out consistent profits no matter the sport, no matter the market, no matter the season. And that's positive expected value betting. Positive EV betting is the foundation of my sports betting strategy. Over here at OddsJam, remember earlier we talked about that 3-leg SGP with the Giants and the Eagles? Well, I found all these plays using OddsJam's positive expected value, and all positive EV means is that we're receiving better odds than the true outcome or probability. So for Dallas Goedert, for an anytime touchdown over at Hard Rock, we're receiving odds of plus 300. Well, the market average odds are plus 241, meaning that a $100 wager should pay us out $241 in profit. But over at Hard Rock, that $100 wager is going to pay us out $300 in profit. So the fair odds for this play is really plus 271. And anything that's higher than plus 271 means we're getting paid out more than what we should. So instead of placing these 3 plays in an SGP, bet all of these as 3 individual straight wagers. How OddsJam's Plus EV tool operates is that it searches and scans all the available betting options with the sportsbooks that you have accounts with, and then just shows you the handful of plays where everything's very mispriced. So on the under on Jackson Dart's passing completions, Hard Rock is the only sportsbook offering plus odds on the under, meaning that over at DraftKings, you would have to put up $127 to profit $100. But on Hard Rock, you have to wager $100 to make $105. That's a massive swing in difference in terms of amount of money you have to stake and the potential payout. The key with this strategy is understanding that you don't need to win every single bet. You just need to be receiving odds that are above the true probability. It's the same exact principles when you go to a used car dealership and you ask what the Kelley Blue Book price is. And the price is $20,000 for a new vehicle, but you're receiving a price of $15,000 at that dealership to purchase the vehicle. That's a savings or value of $5,000. This is a plus EV move to purchase that car. It's the same exact thing with sports betting. We're getting paid out more than what we should, and that's value. Now let me share some advanced strategies that can accelerate your recovery and build long-term profitability, and that's arbitrage betting, and specifically live arbitrage betting. When the games are going on, you can find very high ROI opportunities to day trade these sports books. Over here on Ballybet and FanDuel, on the player points for Wilson over or under 35.5, 1 or 2 outcomes is going to happen. One bet's going to win and one bet's going to lose. So wagering $100 on the under and $90 on the over, we have a total investment of $190. Again, we don't know if the over or the under is going to cash, but it doesn't matter because we're going to profit no matter what happens. If she scores 36 points or more in the game, we receive a total payout of $205. Well, that's $15 in profit based off of our initial stake of $190. If the under hits and she scores 35 points or less, then we're receiving a total payout of $208. So no matter what happens, we're either getting paid out $205 or $208, and all we had to do was put up $190. This is an 8% return off of our $190 investment. So with this strategy, the more money that you invest in this play, the more money that you can make. Arbitrage betting is a very low risk, high reward strategy, and it's the exact strategy I used for the entire month of March to make over $15,000 in profit. When games are going on live, you can find very high ROI opportunities. And while the sportsbooks odds are moving a lot faster compared to pre-match, if you can lock in on 2 or 3 different sportsbooks and pay attention, you can day trade these books back and forth throughout the entire game to make profits guaranteed. The second strategy is promo conversion. Instead of just taking these promotional offers from the sportsbooks and betting them normally, you can use a hedging strategy similar to arbitrage to lock in guaranteed profit no matter what happens. Over here, if you have a $20 bonus bet on DraftKings using OddsJam's promo converter tool, you can find an opportunity between Fanatics and DraftKings. And what you need to focus on is that we're looking to convert 63.5% of this $20 bonus bet into guaranteed cash. So we put $70 of our own money on this bet over at Fanatics at the Kings at plus 10.5 and minus 550 odds. We then take the $20 bonus bet and place this over on DraftKings on the Raptors at minus 10.5. One side's going to win, one side's going to lose. Again, we don't know which side, but no matter what happens, we're going to receive our $70 that we put up back, plus converting 63.5% of this $20 bonus bet into guaranteed money. Remember, bonus bets, they're not real cash. We have to actually put that bet into action and convert it. So if the bet wins on DraftKings, we receive our $70 back plus $15 of profit, converting 15 of this $20 bonus bet into cash. Or if it wins on Fanatics, we convert just under $13 of profit. But no matter what happens, we're making money. The third strategy is just focusing on your profitable markets, the markets that you're crushing at, the sports books that you're making money on. I've been tracking my bets for the entire year using OddsJam's Bet Tracker. I've placed almost 5,400 bets. So I can look at profit by sports book, profit by sport. But when I come down here to profit by market and I click on this little hourglass, I can look at the markets where I've been crushing it, like, player rebounds in the NBA. With the NBA season coming up, I want to make sure that I focus on betting player rebounds because it was my most profitable market throughout the beginning stages of 2025. Also, maybe looking at player assist in the NBA or player home runs in baseball for next season. These are all markets that I just want to rinse and repeat. I've had a lot of success. Let's just continue that trend. So instead of betting everything equally, bet tracking is extremely powerful. I have all this historical data that's going to help shape my future path. No matter the sport, the market, the season, the odds range, the sports book, this all helps create a profitable path for me so that I can focus on the best markets and rinse and repeat. Proper bankroll management becomes even more critical when you're looking to recover from your losses. Here's the recovery bankroll management system that saved my career. First, recalculate your true bankroll. If you had a $5,000 bankroll and lost $2,000, well, you don't have a $5,000 bankroll anymore. Your bankroll is $3,000. But within that $3,000, what's your emotional bankroll? Because that's your actual bankroll, the amount of money that you're willing to put up each day or that you're okay losing. So if you now have a $3,000 bankroll, but you're only comfortable wagering $1,000 at most, well, then you have a $1,000 bankroll. The second thing that you want to do is reduce your unit sizing when it comes to your recovery period. So if you're normally betting 2 units or 2% of your entire bankroll on one play, well, then drop this down to 1%. If you were betting 1%, then drop this down to either a 0.5% or 0.75%. This is going to help protect your remaining capital and also reduce the emotional pressure on each wager. The third thing is you want to set recovery milestones. Instead of trying to get back everything immediately, set smaller milestones. When you receive 25% of that bankroll that you lost back, celebrate the reward. Look at 25, 50, 75%. Look at small individual bites where you can start to make progress towards getting that money back. The fourth tip, stop betting ladders. It's very high risk, very high reward. And if it doesn't work out, your bankroll is going to be in shambles. Over here on the EV tool, we're seeing the Jaguars and the Seahawks game. We have 3 different plays recommended for us to bet the Seahawks on the spread. Well, while the highest EV play is Seahawks -3, if you're in a recovery mode, go after the easiest play, which is Seahawks at -2. Because if the Seahawks only win by 3 points, and you bet all 3 of these plays, you're going to lose the -3.5. You're going to receive your money back on the -3, and you're going to win the -2, which is going to really offset the loss from your first initial -3.5 bet. So instead of grabbing all these plays at once, just grab the Seahawks at -2. And in the offhand chance that the Seahawks lose this game, well, then instead of losing 3 plays, you lost 1 play, which is easier to stomach. The fifth and final tip that might be the most difficult for you to accept is recovery takes time. If you lost $5,000 over 6 months, don't expect to get it all back in 2 weeks. Sustainable recovery happens gradually through consistent execution of profitable strategies. Let me give you a realistic timeline if you're using a systematic approach to reverse your losses. Within the first 2 weeks of recovery mode, stop making the 3 critical mistakes that we mentioned earlier in the video. Start line shopping. stop betting SGPs. And parlay betting in general, make this 5-10% max of your actual daily betting portfolio activity. Make 90%, if not more, of your activity based on straight wagers. These tips alone will help you stop the bleeding, but for weeks 3 and 4, focus on arbitrage and promo conversions. This is that very low risk, high reward type of strategy where you're going to be day trading these sports books, making guaranteed profits. If you're receiving profit boosts or bonus bets from books, convert them into guaranteed cash. Get that money back. I use OddsJam software to help day trade the books. And then what you're going to want to transition to for weeks 5 through 8 is incorporating positive EV betting, where you're placing a one-sided bet where you're getting paid out more than what you should compared to the rest of the sports betting market. And make sure you're only focusing on single straight wagers with plus EV betting. For weeks 9 through 12, this is where you scale up your operation as you prove to yourself that you're profitable. Increase your unit sizes gradually, and because of bet tracking, focus on the markets with plus EV betting that you've had success in. The key here is patience and consistency. Recovery does not happen overnight, but it does happen when you follow a systematic approach based on mathematical edges, not gut feelings. But there are mistakes that can derail your recovery and send you back into a losing spiral. And as we mentioned earlier, the first mistake is trying to recover too quickly. When you're down $5,000, I get it. The temptation is there to bet bigger so that you can get that money back. But this is exactly how losing streaks become account-ending disasters. The second mistake is abandoning the system during short-term variance. You might implement positive EV betting and only have one winning day out of the first 4 days, but this is natural variance. Stay the course. The third mistake is mixing in these profitable strategies with gambling. You can't build a systematic approach by occasionally tossing in that SGP or parlay tonight just for the heck of it. The fourth mistake is not tracking your results properly. You need detailed data to know if your recovery is going well and where you can make those adjustments moving forward. The fifth mistake is not having enough bankroll for your bet sizes. If you're down to your last $500, you can't start betting $100 as one unit and think you're going to survive normal variance. Now, I know that implementing all these changes can seem overwhelming, especially when you're trying to rebuild and recover your losses and you're trying to gain back your confidence. That's exactly why I built a one-on-one coaching program that helps serious bettors transform their approach and start generating consistent profits. So click the first link in the description to book a free 30-minute discovery call with me where we can discuss your challenges and see if one of my coaching programs is the right fit for you. Let's get back to the rest of the video. Once you've stopped the bleeding and started generating consistent profits, there are advanced optimization techniques that can help accelerate your results. The first optimization is market specialization. Like we mentioned before, instead of betting everything equally, focus 70 to 80% of your efforts on a specific market. The second optimization is seasonal adjustments. Different strategies work better during different times of the year. So for Major League Baseball, you want to make an adjustment once we get past the All-Star break. And in the first month of the season, you want to focus a little bit more on betting unders because, well, the weather is normally terrible in a lot of the cities where the games are played outdoors. Every losing streak can be reversed, but only if you're willing to fundamentally change your approach. And now that you know how to reverse your losing streak, you need to know how to walk back up the ladder and make your first $10,000 sports betting, which is why I made a full video breaking down exactly what to do. Click this video on the screen. That's a step-by-step blueprint to blow up your bankroll lightning fast.